Hi everybody. It's about 11:20 in the morning on October 18th, 2023. Uh yeah. Okay, a lot of stuff's been happening and let's just go. You've got to remember I'm a clairvoyant, clairaudient, psychic, so everything is entertainment purposes only. I I go through to explain to anybody new. I go through the current news blurps from all over the place and from several different countries, and I pretty much try to avoid the American mainstream media because that's all been censored. So I do listen to the news outlets from Europe and Asia and the Middle East and everywhere else. So I gather all this information. And while I am listening to it and watching the news broadcasts, I get messages about it. And the information that I get, that's what I write down. And that is what I'm giving out to everybody else. That's what I release here on these videos. So this is just my psychic interpretation of current world events. And please remember, it's all for entertainment purposes only, so please do your own research and form your own opinions. And yes, occasionally I do get information about the royal family. I do have Wallace come and visit me every so often, and she gives me some good information. Some stuff I don't put out for public consumption, but yesterday I had a nice chat with LJ, Psychic LJ here on YouTube, and she's also on Twitch. And we did talk a little bit about the royal family, but that conversation is between her and I because it would rattle a few cages. And then also on Monday night, had a very long conversation with Mystical Fortunes, and we covered a lot of stuff. And even there, we talked about certain things pertaining to the BRF. And right now, we can't release that information because it's a powder keg. I mean, it would make Guy Fawkes seem like he's in the little league of cricket. I mean, or rounders or baseball. I mean, it would make Guy Fawkes and the gunpowder plot seem like absolute amateurs. Now, something we do have to remember, happy birthday to Mike Tyndall. He's the big 45. And yesterday morning, yeah, when I got up, they were talking about how JoJo's going to go to Israel. And he allegedly was supposed to have this meeting and all that stuff. But we have to remember that JoJo is Barry's puppet. And I'll be more on that further down in my notes. It's some of the stuff, it's like Barry was the intention for JoJo's journey. He was supposed to, talk to the guys in Israel and then also talk to King Abdullah in Jordan, but more on that in a few minutes. I get this feeling that this meeting was initially planned so something should happen to JoJo, so we have him permanently out of the way. And could it be that we're hearing rumblings that Iran and their extreme ayatollahs are now going to join the 21st century version of Vietnam in order to... Iran is already in this mess. they're just keeping it quiet right now, but soon they will be publicly admitting that they're involved with Hamas and supporting them and providing them with all sorts of stuff, just like it is going to come out that the Z guy is selling the supplies that America has sent to the blue and yellow flag country. The Z guy is selling to the Ayatollahs so they can give these supplies to Hamas. And anybody who's listening who has friends and family over there, if they're an expat with a foreign passport, get them out ASAP. You need to, because they're going to hold expats as hostage. Yeah, I mean, Biden already set the ransom price of $1.1 billion per person. Now, these people want to decimate. Barry is allowing them to decimate the North American economy. And so everyone else would have to cough up that kind of cash also. Now, people are having fits because Egypt is refusing to open their border with the Gaza area. Egypt is smart. Egypt had their Arab Spring about 10 years ago, and it was the Muslim Brotherhood, which is actually part of Hamas and the Taliban. So Egypt is basically at the entry point of Raza. Yeah, we're seeing news clips of like semi-tractor trailer trucks of UN supplies to be taken into the Gaza area, but they're debating whether or not they may just like hand the boxes over the border to somebody else, like a water bucket train used to be. They're going to unload the boxes of stuff off one by one and pass them down the line. That's the only way this aid stuff will get in. And it's only in packages the size and weight that an actual human can carry. Okay? So that's how what aid will get back into the Gaza area. Now, something that I caught, and it was it's a member of Congress who got up and said this, and he set a list of countries, and they are Afghanistan, Algeria, Bangladesh, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco, North Korea, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Uzbekistan, and Yemen. What all of these countries have in common is basically they have residents, passport holders, who follow the ideology of the Taliban and Hamas. Since October 1st of this year, 2023, citizens, passport holders of all of these countries have crossed into the United States via the official border points, one being this is McAllen, Texas. Military-aged men have entered the United States from all of those countries. How are they getting to Mexico so they can cross the border? This is basically an invasion army of people who want to do a massive jihad. And Hamas is calling out for Several days of interruption of people's normal daily lives. It's their intention. There are sleeper CELLSs all over the place, just waiting for the signal. People are crying so much sympathy in Will County, Illinois, because that one guy, boom, 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 into that mom and kid. You see, the bad boys out of the 5 Time a Day crew, they use women and children as their own personal Kevlar. So that woman may have been getting like emails and messages from family and friends from wherever, but she could have been a message Dropbox. So what is her complete story? This man probably knew more than will ever be revealed. And he did what needed to be done in order to protect us. So I have no sympathy for the mother and kid. My sympathies go to the man who defended us. Now we have, what's his face? Vivek coming out and talking. He basically is bashing the Big Red Sea and all this faux climate change nonsense. But I keep getting, he's all talk and no real action because he's Asian. Okay, most people think Asian, they are thinking of the island countries, the Big Red Sea, Japan, but people forget that part of Asia is India. He follows true to his cultural roots. So I guess his big plan would be, because right now I know everybody, I'm getting it on my cell phone and all over the place. These adverts for this cheap garbage website that wants you to load it onto your phone so they can poach all your information. That's TUMI kind of nonsense shopping app. Well, Vivek wants, instead of everybody being dependent on the Big Red Sea for cheap crap, he wants us to become dependent on the big country that was part of the British Empire. That's his goal. Yeah, they're saying, oh, no more chips going to the Big Red Sea. Well, the Big Red Sea makes all the crap to make the chips. So that's going to be, that's ginormous. Now, remember, I'm going through my notes as I saw the news clips. Yes, we saw that hospital in the Gaza area was decimated. Well, first they blamed it on the white flag with blue stripe and star. Now it's come out that it was actually one of the HAMAS drones that actually created the hospital to be decimated. It was pre-planned. Yeah. They use, like I said, they use those that are not of use to them. Women, children, sick, old, wounded. Kevlar. And so they intentionally decimated that hospital so they could blame it on somebody else, but the truth is now coming out and people are like, oh my gosh, well, that was an accident that happened. No. That drone strike on that hospital was intentional. They're wanting to have another worldwide day of, they're pinpointing different days for the probable sleeper CELLSs to cause upset in all sorts of different towns, cities, countries. It's, oh my God. Folks, there's something's going to hit on Halloween. Something's going to happen with a lot of kids getting, yeah. They're going to do something on Halloween, so be careful. Be careful what you're doing with your kids. It's for large groups of kids on Halloween. There's something bad that's going to happen. I don't know what. It just hit me. Okay, back to my notes. Yeah, they said that they initially gave out JoJo's agenda, itinerary. Well, King Abdullah was said to the U.S. government, we're not granting airspace or the landing of Air Force One in Jordan. King Abdullah does not recognize Biden as president. He knows that it's Barry being the puppet master. And he does not want to have anything to do with Barry. King Abdullah basically is following an isolationist protocol. He wants to stay isolated from this mess. He doesn't want any refugees, and he does not want any kind of foreign aid to pass over his borders. He's locking down his country tight and saying, you guys aren't coming in. That's what's happening. And he denied JoJo and his entourage denied entry. That's what they're not saying. It wasn't canceled from the U.S. point of view. King Abdullah said, no way on earth are you coming here. Stay out. So yeah, he's in Tel Aviv. JoJo's in Tel Aviv doing Barry's bidding. And he's like he's trying to get the release of all the alleged Americans that are caught. No, he's there to send a message out that the U.S. wants to keep the money laundering operation still in business. Yeah, he went over to make sure that Barry's way of laundering money continues. Now, after seeing that blurb, that's when I noticed, because I do have the local mainstream media on, so I can catch the weather report. And this is when he went live. JoJo went live. Actually, JoJo was using the teleprompter to go through a prepared speech. Now, JoJo was playing to the sympathies of the vote blue Jews, no matter who. He's playing to their sympathies. Oh, the Democrats are so wonderful. But in fact, Barry, the laughing hyena, they're making a laughing stock of any Jew that votes blue from now on. It was disgusting that Barry had JoJo compare himself to Harry Truman. Hey, Harry Truman was known as Give Him Hell Harry. JoJo uses the word don't. Yeah. Big difference between Give Him Hell Harry and JoJo saying, don't do this. It's bad for everybody. Yeah, and also they're probably what supplies they're going to send to Israel. most likely it's going to be all the stuff that wasn't used up during Desert Storm from the 1990s. Equipment and supplies that are 30 years old. JoJo and Barry are doing the same thing that FDR did to Asia in the 1940s, early 40s. This is basically, they wanted this mess. They've created, like I said, a 21st century Vietnam situation. Nobody's really going to come out the winner. But behind the scenes, Barry is being loyal to his alleged 5 times a day faith, and he's pro-Hamas. Which is it's a really, really sick thing to say, but yeah. We've got so many of these fools already in the US. It's disgusting. Now, okay, that's when the news blurb of him yakking, regurgitating Barry's point of view ended. So I went back to my normal, usual, skimming through the other outside news of the world. A new law's going to be, they're making a sincere effort to change this in Australia, down under, that if a child is under the age of 18, they are not to have any consumables or any surgical procedures done to their body that could change their assigned genetic sex at birth. I mean, they're saying, hey, you have to be 18 to do this, 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 this. You have to be at least 16 to smoke. You can't get alcohol before you're 18. You can't vote. You're not supposed to be driving a car. So now they've made it, they're making it a law across the continent that if you're not 18, it's illegal for any doctor or any parent to try and to willfully change the sex of a kid, unless there is a true medical need, like the kid being born a hermaphrodite. So unless you're born intersexed, hermaphrodite, you gotta wait till you're 18. And by that time, your brain is almost finished growing, because it is a medical fact that most people do not fully mature until they're in their mid-20s. So why give an infant, that's like letting an infant drive a Maserati, a 5-year-old, instead of a tricycle. You give him the keys to a Maserati. You gotta wait till that little boy grows up and has some sense before he does something stupid. Now, I've noticed one of the news outlets is really, really, it's worse, just as bad, if not worse, than our American media, is Reuters. Reuters is also trashing Jim Jordan. Now, we know Reuters is saying is very biased towards him politically. And they put this blurb out, oh, what you need to know about him. And a lot of it was the worst of the worst they could dig up. The last item on it was, oh, he aligns himself with DJT. Well, you know what? He's conservative. He knows the bullshit that's going on. It's going to be really, really interesting to see who actually now becomes Speaker of the House. And they're making noise that Jim Jordan isn't sympathetic to what's happening to the Jews. Well, it's like, dudes, I caught, what is the guy's name? salty crackers? Super sodium Ritz? Yeah, the saltine guy. Um, he, they're basically, he is revealing or giving the opinion that the Barry's government, the Barry/Jojo government, is actually wanting the members of the Hamas and Taliban here in the States. And now they are allowing these kids, these young men of military age, this invading army, to go out and openly harass different gatherings of the Jews that are actually Democrats. I mean, this is getting comical. People need to look. I mean, we know that a lot of the religion is now kind of bastardized, and you'd have to go digging, but all of the books, even though how they've been rewritten to satisfy the whims of the current culture and administration and stuff, in the New Testament version, they list the 4 colors of the apocalypse: red, green, black, and white. And this is something that another person and I, she pointed it out when we were talking on Monday night. And start looking. Yeah, those are the colors of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That's what, in the chapters on Revelations? Red, green, black, and white. That's the color of the flag of the people that want to finish what the Third Reich's agenda was. And they're going in and they're starting to harass these, the Jews that vote blue. They're so complacent, they don't realize what they're doing. And then these goofballs, how you can identify the nasty, the bad sleeper cell CELLS guys is they openly wear shirts that say Anti-Zionist Social Club. Well, that equals the TALIBAN. And and even DW News, which is out of Germany, Deutsche Welt, they're very, very openly pro-Gaza. They're actually living in a Fourth Reich over there. I mean, look at all the nonsense Adolf's daughter, Angela, did. I mean, she basically created that EU garbage, which decimated the UK right now. But yeah, they are giving out information to continue so they can continue to eliminate these complacent followers of the Old Testament. Look around, people. It's like Egypt tossed out the Muslim Brotherhood, which is actually the TALIBAN and the ISIS group, those nasty characters. And yeah, that's why Egypt keeps, no, you're not coming in. They're keeping that border crossing closed. And yet these fools that are walking around with the Anti-Zionist Social Club sweatshirts and their red, green, black, and white flags, I mean, they're having big protests and rallies in London. Now, some of the universities are now starting to yeah, it's kind of like 1984 over there, but they've got all this facial recognition software. So what they're doing, this one university in London, they're identifying their enrolled students who are pro elimination of Israel. They're now suspending them from their education, from their studies. They're basically kicking them out of the university. Yeah. And the last thing I caught, and I was expecting this because they're doing it in Beirut. The next one they're going to go after is probably in Jerusalem. In Beirut, they're having big protests outside of the American embassy. So my sick feeling is that it's going to be a repeat of what happened in Tehran in October of 1979. And the people that are still in that building, they won't be released until we have gotten rid of the donkey administration. It's history repeating itself. But the younger generation is too clueless. So, yeah, that's what I've got for you today. Everyone have a good evening. It's Wednesday, yeah, the 18th. And so I'll have a video up for you on Friday. Good luck. Have a nice evening. Enjoy the nice weather, the fall days. And yeah, if you start getting stuffy, it's like everybody else. We've got the allergies that are triggered by the pollination to make the leaves turn pretty colors. But you know what? They're going to call that another. You have the windows open? Well, influenza. But it's just allergies. Don't worry about it when you hear somebody sneezing or coughing. It's not Enza flying in the window. So, see you Friday. Bye-bye.